Hello guys, I'm André Miceli and this is Aces. I am with Jenn Chase, Vice President for Marketing at SAS. Hi Jenn, thank you so much for being here. It's a great pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, André.
Jenn, let's start from the beginning. I would like to hear from you about how marketing executives are dealing with these new challenges of being measured all the time and how data can help them to do everything they need to do.
Yeah, it's such a great question. And I think as a marketing profession, we're moving from being perceived as cost centers to C-suite advisors. And I think that as a marketing leader, the value we can provide to the C-suite is bringing the voice of the customer and showing how that voice of the customer can provide growth strategies for the business. And in order to do that, you're going to need to have access to the data and be able to have a marketing organization that is empowered to execute in an agile way against that data.
Jenn, you say in an agile way. Do you think it's very different from what you have seen at the beginning of your career? And do you think things are faster and data is more important now than it was at that time?
Oh, absolutely. And there's a much bigger variety of data coming at us as well. And so, I think marketing has changed more in the past year than it has in the past 10 years. And so I think it's such an exciting time to be a marketer as a result. So I think one of the ways in order to make sure we are able to execute in an agile and really frictionless way is first to focus on the talents of our team. And one of the things we've done at SAS is developed the profile of what we believe a modern marketer is. And there's 8 traits. And it's things like you might imagine, being analytically curious so that you're constantly asking yourself, how's my campaign running? How am I reaching my customer? It's having a growth mindset, recognizing that the way and the paths you had to market yesterday that worked might not work tomorrow. So can you constantly rethink and relearn your way of doing work? And so we've created this modern marketer profile. And we've actually developed an entire training program called Lifelong Learning for Marketers around this profile so that we can continue to empower and enable our marketers to be agile and have the tools they need in order to reach our customers.
So Jenn, you said there is an exciting time to be a marketer, but I think it's probably more difficult now because everything can be measured and marketing executives have to deal with different tools, much more technology and the same amount of creativity. How can technology companies like SAS help these executives to carry out their activities?
So, I think as marketers, we spend a lot of our time marketing for our company externally, and sometimes we have to market ourselves internally. I call it the marketing of marketing. And what is probably no surprise, being a technology company that we use our own software to tell the story of the impact of marketing to our executives. And so this is where we're using, obviously we're bringing in all of our data management capabilities. We're using our own analytic modeling in order to reach customers. And then I use our visualization tools in order to tell the story of the impact of marketing back to executives. And I think the more that we can turn that story of the impact of marketing into an executive talk track that focuses on the impact, not necessarily the activities, but the impact of marketing, the more we're going to be able to move to that C-suite advisor as a profession.
Yeah, but I always think about your specific activities. You have to deal with marketing of SAS and also think about how SAS can help other marketing executives around the world. And you are the worldwide vice president. What's the difference between the marketing executions around the world and or marketing is exactly the same no matter the country?
That's such a great question, and I'm fortunate to have a global responsibility, and I'm always so curious about different cultures and how you reach customers in different cultures. When it came time for us to relaunch our brand, and we just have embarked on a whole new brand campaign here, one of the things we did is we created a brand team that included members from across the globe, so that as we developed the idea and the concepts and the messaging, it reflected the different cultures that we do business in. And then we had a essentially accelerator packs of how we could amplify that brand in region, and then enabled the local teams to add on to that with tactics that we know they are best equipped to design to reach their local markets. And so one example of that is in Brazil, we added an entire layer of radio spots, audio ads, because we knew that was going to be a place that we could reach that market with our message most effectively. And so I think it's that balance of, all right, what's the message that's core to the company that is consistent? And then apply on top of that local activation that is relevant in the market. And only the local marketing teams are going to know how to do that best. And so we really rely on the talent in our field in order to understand the local culture and our business and make those connections.
So you said some interesting words. You said local, culture, context, and everything is interesting because at the end of the day, you are talking about individuals. Of course, a small group of individuals and the whole society. When you see like a funnel, when you design your marketing strategies, is the individual that matters. And when we think about these individuals or about customer experience, I know that SaaS can help lots of companies to think and to develop a good customer experience strategy. What do you think about the importance of these customer experience actions for good execution of marketing strategies?
I think it's such a great question, and I'll point to a customer we've worked with recently, AEG Sports. So AEG Sports owns the LA Galaxy, the LA Kings, so a professional soccer football team in the United States and a NHL hockey team in the United States. And as they were going through the pandemic, like everybody, they were experiencing this level of uncertainty of, well, what is it going to look like to return to sports? What do our fans want? Are they comfortable coming back into the stadium? How can we engage with them in this remote way? And so they teamed up with SaaS. They saw this as an opportunity to take their environment to the cloud. So it was a SaaS and Microsoft joint partnership. And what they wanted to do first and foremost was understand the sentiment of their customers, understand how they feel about coming back into the stadium, understand maybe what their willingness is to engage in a remote way. So I think that's a perfect example of starting first with what is the sentiment and how do my customers feel? And then let me design a customer experience program around that.
So we have LA Galaxy and LA Kings. Can you share with us some other SaaS customer success stories? There are good examples of marketing executions.
Another story I'd love to tell, it's near and dear to our hearts. At SaaS, we feel really strongly about data for good projects and how analytics can be used to make the world a better place. And one customer we're working with is the World Wildlife Federation, and they're a conservation organization, and they need to engage effectively with their donors so that they can use those dollars and put them towards saving wildlife. And so they worked with SaaS, applying analytics towards understanding the behaviors of their donors. And what they found after teaming with us is they were able to increase their donor dollars by 25%, while at the same time reducing their mailings by almost 500,000. So it's a great example of using data and analytics to better understand your customer and engage with them in a way that's going to yield better results at a lower cost.
I know that Dr. Jim Goodnight has a very tight relationship with academic programs. And he is also a doctor, and SaaS is like a baby from his doctoral program. And everything that came after his PhD program is full of academic research. And also his relationship with universities around the world is very, very good. How does the marketing department at SaaS deal with these different initiatives?
Yeah, you're right. We were born from academia out of NC State University, and we do quite a bit in the academic space. So from a secondary education, college education, we have data programs that we put in place at schools so that part of the curriculum involves learning how to use SaaS. We see that as the next generation of SaaS users, and we want to embed the use of SaaS into the curriculum as much as possible, because we do believe that that's the path for growth. Dr. Goodnight feels very strongly about STEM education at an earlier level, so a K through 12 early education, and the importance of early literacy to create future STEM students. And so, from a marketing perspective, these are things when we talk about what's meaningful to us and our purpose, we will emphasize those areas of education, and we know that our customers have that same commitment in many places. So it allows us to connect in a way that's very meaningful with our customers. Something we announced recently is a program we're putting together around data literacy. And we recognize that data literacy is so important. I think, one of the things we all saw with the pandemic is that misinformation may have been as transmissible as the coronavirus itself. And so it's important for any age to be more data literate. And so that's an extension of our programs we have around education, and one I'm excited to see build up this year.
So Jenn, when we talk about your execution, how do you maximize the chances of success in everything you do? I mean, when you think about developing a global campaign or distributing targets for regional executives, how do you do everything, and how do you manage to maximize the chances of success of these campaigns in order to ensure that your teams are going to achieve the goals that you have established for them?
So it starts with establishing the strategy that everybody is aligned around. And frankly, I'll take it a step back. It's the vision. My vision for this organization is that marketing is indispensable to SaaS and indispensable to our customers. And from there, our strategy, our North Star, if you will, is how do we increase brand awareness, drive demand generation, and ultimately improve customer relationships. So brand, demand, and customer engagement are the three pillars that every marketer is focused on. From there, we define an alignment with the business. Where are the business opportunities we have for this year and the out years? And we develop our campaigns aligned to that. One of the shifts we've made recently in the past 2 to 3 years is we have global campaigns, and those areas where we expect to be making about 80% of our revenue. We'll have global campaigns. Now, these global campaigns, like I talked about with the brand campaign, are designed by members of the organization from across the globe. So this isn't a corporate exercise with people who don't understand local conditions. This is a truly global effort to create these global campaigns, and they serve as accelerators to be able to land those programs locally. And so that way, the local teams can invest their time in landing that campaign and translating it to the local market. So that's been one way we've been able to find success, is to move from, in the past, we would share already created campaigns to now creating shared campaigns together and then executing against those. For me, something that's critically important is the alignment with our field marketing organization and the field sales organization. So when it comes to setting targets, those targets are completely in alignment with the local business objectives, and marketing has a seat at that local executive table in order to execute the business objectives.
And when you talk about these three pillars, do you think that one of them has more to do with data, or do you think that all of them can benefit the same way from the use of it?
I think all of the pillars can. I fundamentally believe in the value of data. I think when it comes to demand generation, that's probably where, as a marketer at SaaS, and I would venture to say this is true in the industry as well, we're probably more comfortable with that data because you're looking at a funnel and you're watching somebody move through a funnel, moving from a showing interest to a registration to a lead to a sales opportunity. So I think those are more known data elements. When it comes to our existing customers, there's a set of behaviors that we know and we can watch. What's been newer for us anyways at SaaS, because we've recently invested in this brand campaign, is we've said, well, we need to start this campaign based on data. And this is where I tip my hat to the consumer marketers out there, the B2C marketers. I think as a B2B marketer, I have so much to learn from our consumer marketers. We needed to invest in our knowledge of the behavioral data of our customers. And we recognized we've been talking to our customers in a very logical way about our software, the product itself, what can it do to the benefits of the product. We needed to appeal to customers in a more emotional way. And I think B2C marketers do such a great job of understanding the emotions of their consumers and how that drives their decision making. And we needed to improve that at SaaS. So that was an investment we made in data, where we needed to go out and conduct a brand study, do more first party research to better understand the motivators, the drivers, understand our customer outside of their job, their 9 to 5, so that we could speak to the whole customer. And to me, I think that's that's still an opportunity that for us that we continue to grow in.
And for a company that doesn't use data at all at the beginning of this journey, do you think there is an easiest first step? Is there an area or a quick win or something that makes it easier to begin the journey?
I would say if you're just beginning the journey, the first thing you need to do is understand the data you have today and where it exists. And a great place to start could be your website. Understand your web traffic, how people are finding your web, what are they doing when they're on your website, and maybe what is the desired step you want them to take on your website that they're not taking. So understand that. And then I would say partner internally. Some of the I think a marketing superpower is our ability to collaborate. Bring in your IT department, bring in your sales department on that journey and talk about, all right, how, IT, where are you seeing the data come from? Sales, how are you engaging with customers? And is that a place where we can find some quick wins together and move forward as an entire organization?
So Jenn, one last question. How can an executive prepare for the future of marketing execution?
I think what the one thing that we can be certain of is that there will be more change. I think the ability for us to, as a marketing organization and marketing function, to remain agile and lead with empathy to our consumers and what our consumers are facing as we're coming out of the pandemic and facing a new economic reality, and empathy towards our employees and our marketers and what is it that they need in order to execute and do their role. At the core of all of that will be understanding data and being able to pivot based on that consumer behavior.
Yes, great. Jenn, thank you so much for this interview.
Oh, Andre, it was a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
I was with Jenn Chase. She is Senior Vice President of Marketing at SaaS. This was ACES, and stay with us for more at MIT Technology Review Brazil. Bye.